Hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, Santiago, aka Zuller, aka the Turtle Lover.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Hi. Are you in the crowd?
Not really. Why?
Because there's a
Is
lot
it
of background
terrible?
noise. No, it's okay. It's
Oh,
there's it just sounds like you're
let me.
in the middle of a family.
Yes, my family is on the next room, so that might be the reason.
All
Let
right.
me
Anyway,
shut the door. Give me a second.
okay. So how is everyone? Is the year-end countdown about to begin? Do you want us to count down from now until here it's going to be another 33 hours. Not sure whether 33 hours stream. Wow. Maybe let's do that. Um,
Can you hear me? Is it better?
yes, it's a lot better. Thanks.
Okay, great.
Mm, So, how has everyone's celebration been? If you have celebrated, how has yours been, Santiago? Have you gotten
Mine,
your favorite
great.
Christmas songs, your favorite Christmas food, your favorite Christmas stuff?
I got everything that I wanted, so I'm pretty happy with it. I'm feeling much better right now, as related to my throat and everything that I was sick. So I'm feeling
Oh yeah,
very,
right.
very good. I can actually talk during this stream because the last one, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of difficult trying to talk and dealing with all the questions when I was coughing all the time.
Nobody noticed. That's okay.
Yeah, no.
So, um, Webby has had a very busy but great spending time with a family time. I guess.
So
How has it been for you? Have you been like, is it really busy in your family and in your kind of
yeah, I
environment,
mean,
or is it more
I'm
like,
actually
hey,
with my
chillax?
family right now. So we always organize a trip at the end of the year. So I'm right now in this little trip. So that's why I'm not in my usual setup, but you cannot notice it because of my background. But that's why I have the noise, and so I'm not in my usual setup. That's why you also don't hear my dogs.
Oh, maybe that's better
Yeah,
then.
you're lucky today.
Okay.
So I guess I, I gotta say I don't like December as much when it is related to job because things are slower. Not only here but in everywhere I have working. Even when I work in a hospital, there were not even patients, but you had to be there with, in the hospital, like without your family. So I was remembering last year I had a shift on Christmas. I mean, it was sad in the sense that yeah, you're not with your family, and you had like two patients, and two patients is nothing at that moment. So you usually you gather together with all the people at the hospital, you host a little dinner, and that's it. But usually you're like, why am I here if there's not much job to do? So you usually go to bed early and so on. This time I'm
So
excited to start next year because we have a lot of things ahead, don't you think?
yeah, I mean it's crazy. I think it's been a bit of a of a slow last week and a half, right? So typically I get all kinds of messages on the weekends and at night and whatnot, and then you basically you're drowned in them. And the last week was been like, even if you ask people something, then it's really slow for them to answer, right? Everyone's like in a bit of a hibernation mode, which is, I think it's good because I also took a little bit of time with the family, like if just the core days, right? And you end up spending a lot of kind of quality time with your people. For us, it was incredibly slow, incredibly not busy because we just stayed at home with the little family, just with the kids, right? But it was really cool because my older son, got the Millennium Falcon, the Lego set
Cool.
for the one for kids, right? So ever since he's like all over Star Wars, and so he keeps asking me questions like, "Hey, who's cooler, Jango Fett or Boba Fett?" Because he has a an audiobook like that that's
Nice.
episode 1 through 9, right? And so he keeps listening to that, and so he doesn't really know because he hasn't watched the movies. He's a bit too young, right? He's 6, so I think that maybe episode 4 could be a thing at some point. But all like most of the episodes are really too complex, right? So he keeps asking me all these questions about yeah, who's who, what do they do, whether I like that Emperor Palpatine gets defeated and whatnot. So it's like really all these crazy questions, the kids questions that I need to answer um, about Star Wars. And by the way, my parents are actually arriving right now, so it might get a little louder when the kids welcome them and get a little bit excited because yeah, they wanted to come over for New Year's and stay a
That's
little
right.
with the kids and stuff. So I was hoping they would arrive an hour earlier, but I could see their car through the window, so it's going to be interesting. Um, and Forest Layer is saying, so you are saying that more people should go to the hospital on Christmas. They
I
might
mean,
actually get a better service, right?
it's yeah. Actually, they get a pretty good service because we don't have too many patients, so we have more time to dedicate to the few of them that are there, and we usually feel sorry for them because no one wants to be in a hospital during Christmas. Usually, they are pretty sad, so we always find ways to make them feel better. One funny story is that that day, last Christmas, we got someone on emergency that came because a family member of them hugged them so hard that he felt like one of his ribs broke. So we had
Oh
to
wow.
perform an X-ray. Yeah, actually, that was one of the people that came to emergencies. So do not hug your familiars too tight because you might break something.
Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. But overall, I think that it's actually funny, right? That people don't go to the hospital as much over Christmas. Does that mean
They
that
don't.
they're less sick, or they just don't want to spend Christmas in the hospital?
Or some of them hold whatever they are feeling until the holidays go by, and then they come back on January and they are in a terrible condition, and it's because they didn't went earlier to the medic. It happens, but it is more of yeah. I mean, it's a mix of everything.
Okay, that's crazy.
So
Um,
I think we need to talk about something very interesting. Don't you think?
Yeah, just one quick one because your village people
Okay,
has asked that, and I realized because I said I will do it myself, and I literally
and you didn't.
forgot to send out the ones that I didn't send during the stream, right?
Okay,
The individual ones I had sent during the stream. So I'm really sorry that I didn't send out the promo packs. I said it's on me, it's on nobody else because I said I'll do it. I'll do it. I have it. I have everything saved. I'll do it. It just I'm really sorry for that. So thanks for asking. I just realized about half an hour ago, actually. So okay, what you want to talk about?
I want to talk about what everyone wants to talk about. So I got a lot of complaints last stream because we made a Christmas stream and we didn't give the people a Christmas gift. In this case, the Christmas gift will be Alpha on the Playmind protocol. What is happening?
Ooh.
What is going on? When is this releasing? Why is this so exciting? We have to talk about a lot of stuff about Playmind and we haven't yet.
Yeah, so I gave a bit of a hint last week, right? But I didn't say what it is. I said there is a lot of interesting stuff, but yeah, you're right. Actually, we should have talked about like kind of really what it is and why you should get excited. So now you asked me all the questions at once. How
No,
do you want to start?
let's start. Let's start first with we have talked for about merging the token, the wombat and the wizard token for a long time, but we haven't talked enough about what are we bringing to the table on top of this because merging is easy, but if we have taken so long time, what have we been doing to make
So
this amazing?
So a merging is not easy, but I mean we've got that under control, right? So that's the thing that yeah, it's easy like from a high level perspective, but from kind of a technical perspective with all this stuff that we have going on with Wombat specifically, it's not easy per se. There's a lot that can go wrong, right? But anyway, this is not what we want to talk about. Um, from kind of this perspective, from our existing token holders' perspective, obviously everyone wants to know when does play launch, and I totally understand that, right? But from our perspective, and this is what has basically been evolving since we actually announced that. And again, I said it, I think, a month ago already, that we were probably too early. No, we were too early announcing this. We should have done that later, so that there isn't as much of a weight on all the things that would happen. So we really apologize for that. But at the same time, more recently, we've had a lot of development going on regarding kind of where this can evolve, specifically with the market picking up. There's a lot more interest in oh yeah, that's actually exciting from a kind of Web3 perspective. So what is it that we're doing there, right? So because that is, I think, what's really exciting about Play is not that we merge two tokens. What's really exciting is that we add a whole new level, a whole new dimension of complexity to this that actually will be really exciting for the token as well. But first, we need to clarify what the Playmite protocol is and what we're building there. And in just a few sentences, it's a piece of technology, kind of like a protocol, right? For blockchain people, it's typically easier to understand, that allows users to collect their data when they play. They will be paid for this data collection, right? It's going to be an opt-in. They will be paid for that, and this data will be stored in a decentralized storage and then made available to, well, all kinds of use cases. But specifically, what we're looking at is training deep learning models to play games for you as an AI agent, right? And that sounds totally trivial if you say it like that. Right? It sounds like, hey, so what's the thing about this? Why is that
I think an
difficult?
example would be great, like how, as a user, I can use Playmate.
So the idea is that eventually, in kind of the full scale, once we have the full scale solution ready, you will be able to essentially book agents from inside the game that can do certain jobs for you when you don't want to do them yourself, right? So my favorite example has always been, or you might not remember that because you're too young, but some people here will, playing Diablo 2 and doing cow runs, right, to level up, for instance. So there was a secret cow level, and you would like do all kinds of cow runs because there were amazing drop rates and you could gain a lot of experience during those. But there was a lot of grinding, and you may not want to be doing grinding. So how about you have an AI do that for you, right? Or and you basically just watch it, right? It would play in real time. It will do exactly what a human would do, right? It's just that it would automate kind of the tedious parts of what you have to do in games.
And can this AI be, for example, also a coach, like to help me improve in the game while I'm playing?
This can be, well, in theory, this can be anything, because on a protocol level, that's going to be agnostic to what kind of data that is, what kind of AI models that is, and so on. But what we're going to be doing at first is literally agents that can play in your stead, right? And obviously, when you talk about this, you talk about games like World of Warcraft. So these are the examples that people always come up with, right? MMORPGs, shooters, whatnot, right? And
Pokemon,
because
level up your Pokemons to get over. Yeah.
there's so many examples, right? But obviously, these are super complex games. I mean, a game like World of Warcraft is probably one of the most complex pieces of software out there at all, right? But we can also talk about games like what's it called? Yeah, well, idle games, right? Or Telegram tap games. Sorry, I was just looking at the
Chat.
at the chats here. Um, uh, there's simple games like maybe let's say Tap Monsters or other Telegram tap games, right? This can apply to this as well. This can apply to play to earn games. This can apply to like, which typically are also on the simpler end of things, where you could automate things that you don't want to do, right? So you basically just have to deal with the aspects that you want to deal with, right? And I think that's what's really cool, because a lot of people will want this, right? And my favorite example is actually one thing that we already made not too long ago in Dungeon Master. We made the run queues, right, where people were able to automate their runs, like fully legally, right? And you would have to pay a little to actually do that every season, right? And now this basically shows that there is obviously demand for kind of these features where it takes away the tedious parts, right? And it gives you the possibility to only focus on the parts that are fun or interesting for you. And I think what's important here, because um, this is going to happen one way or another, right? AI agents will take over games. It's
Yes.
already happening. There's like the Google DeepMind project or Alphabet or whatever, and they do that, right? They automated. They have an agent playing StarCraft 2 on world class level, like they're in the 99th percentile, and they could do even better, right? It's just that they have to limit the number of inputs the agent can do artificially, because otherwise it would be too good and too fast, right? But how they have trained their agents is they literally use on-screen footage, right? So they use screencasts, YouTube videos, Twitch streams, and whatnot of players playing StarCraft, so that that's the data they can train on. What they don't have is the user input. They just have the screen, right? Whatever is shown on the screen. So the agent needs to derive a lot of actions from a lot of data, right? Because obviously streams are a lot of data, or full screencasts, and it's really hard to train agents on that, or AI models based on that, and it's very resource intensive, right? So but they have millions. They don't care, right? They have massive budgets, so they can do whatever. But from a consumer perspective, this is not viable, right? These need to be simple models that can actually be executed. Like the inference can be must like it should be possible. It needs to be possible to run the inference on a local machine, right? Not the training necessarily, but the inference. So basically, creating the actions, right? Because otherwise, how would you have that play for yourself? And then another thing that I think is important is that all of what's happening is sanctioned by the game creators, right? We could also build that stuff so that it works outside of the games, but it's much more valuable and much better if it works from inside the games. So basically, the data is the opt-in for the data collection is done within the game, so it doesn't interfere with kind of the usual play flow, but also it's fully sanctioned by the game creators, right? So what kind of data is being recorded, and what kind of applications are being the data is being used for, what kind of actions these agents can actually perform. I think that needs to be kind of limited by or sanctioned by the game creators, right? So this is what we're going to be doing, or what we are doing. We're providing the technology to do that. We're providing a marketplace for the data. We're providing a marketplace for agents, right? And I know there is a lot of AI stuff going on, right? And this is good. It's really good that this stuff is going on, right? But we're not doing AI, right? We're building AI infrastructure. It's a data aggregation model,
Infrastructure.
and this is where it becomes really interesting, like going forward, right? There's a lot of other things that you can do with that. We don't want to like lay it all out and talk about that too much, because it's already so big, right? If we are able to do what we think we'll be able to do, then that's already plenty. But obviously, with the kind of data that you collect, there's a lot of other things you can do. When we talk to like gaming veterans, they're like, "Oh, the first thing that I would do with this is X, Y, Z, not the AI agent stuff," right? But we need to start with something that's also interesting for consumers, so that we actually have something that's actually being used, right? Because the most
So
important thing
this
will.
this
Yeah, go ahead.
information will not only be useful for users, but also for the game owners, right? They can get access to all this information.
So that's not going to be baked in the MVP version of the protocol that we're building, right? But this will definitely be there later, right? Because we need ways of compensating people for providing their data. So they will be getting a share of any use of the of an agent that's been trained with their data, right? So we need an economic model that does that, right? But anyone who wants to activate one of the PlayMind integrated AI agents will pay and play, right? And a share of that will go to the game creators. A share of that will go to the people who have actually created, trained the agent, and a share of that will go to the collectors of the data that has been used to train these models, right? And I think that's what's really cool. That's where AI and Web3 go together really, really well. Because one of the biggest issues with anything AI related is um, is the data, right? For language models, that's a little less of a problem, like ChatGPT, right? That's a little less of a problem because there is so much data out there. You can scrape whatever Twitter, right? And that's what a lot of these um, chat-based agents have been doing, right? So Truth Terminal, right, has been trained with 4chan data. Okay, cool. There's a lot of public data. You just use their API, you scrape that, and you shove it into a language model because that's language. So language models it's good to train them on these kinds of things, right? But having somewhat standardized data that you can use to feed and train deep learning models, like agents that would play for you, that is so much harder. So hopefully, on the path to implementing PlayMind and to make PlayMind commercially successful, we will also define a standard for for basically game data collection that will be possible to be used within for the training of deep learning models that can play games for NPCs, for whatever, right? And but at the same time, this can be used for anything else as well, to analyze gamer behavior and whatnot, right? So one of the examples was, hey, maybe we can do adaptive um, difficulty control, right? With that kind of data, if we have that in real time, and obviously it's going to be available in pretty much real time. So, and coming back to your example, a coach or a mentor or whatever, right? This would be really cool, but this would probably, if this is supposed to talk to
That
you,
would be amazing.
this is probably kind of a language model kind of thing. So we would need a language model representation, so a representation of the data that can be used properly in language models, right? And language models inherently aren't that good in analyzing, well, let's say Excel sheets, right? They're just not built for that, right? They're better at finding patterns in actual text, in actual copy, right? So, but if you could have kind of a narrative representation of what you do in the game, right? So you took out the sword and blah blah blah, and then you hit left, right, or whatever, right? Then that's going to be a lot easier to then use to fill into a large language models, right? So and that's why what we're saying, for us, the type of data that we're going to be collecting is somewhat abstract, but we have a vision of what the MVP version of that is, because we need to standardize it somehow. We need to make it the same across all the games that we use, right? But then there's a lot more applications that we can add to that later, because once we have that infrastructure in place, it's going to be easy to add, hey, we can also store this language representation of what you did in the game, so that can be used in something like you said, maybe maybe kind of a companion or whatever, or a mentor, but or in kind of a chatbot or whatever, right? But another idea of doing what you suggested is having a shadow, right? So you know how in I don't know, the best example that comes to mind for me is Mario Kart from back in the day, right? So
Okay.
you would see the fastest version, the fastest kind of lap version of like the record setting one, right? Drive right next to you so that you could see kind of which line they take when they when they drive, right? So you could mimic their driving and then maybe get better, right? So that's definitely possible because this would be more of a kind of deep learning experience kind of thing. So
That's great. I mean, I love it. Uh, I
um,
I personally
that's
would love the coach because I have tried some. You haven't played League of Legends, so it's difficult to try to explain it to you.
no.
But for example, for matchups, for people, for jungle paths, it could be great to have an AI companion to help you and guide you through the different matchups between champions that are there. And it will be amazing to get the data from users, and then after getting the data from users, you can actually the AI can decide and can take decisions on how the matchup performs based on its own data. And then based on all of this data, it can give advices to users on how to perform, how to do jungle paths, how to itemize against these champions. It will be great for these kind of games like League of Legends, StarCraft, all these
Yeah.
MOBAs around.
But like I
It will
said,
take a lot of time to get there.
exactly, right? So this will take a lot of data and a lot of time. But again, that's where I think Web3 is so helpful because Web3 is really good at it's aligning incentives, right? And because this is what it's all about, right? So if you can align incentives between the people who play the game and generate data, the people who train agents, and the people who consume them, right? And the game creators, that's going to be really great. And there's obviously a lot of doubts that you could have around: is this really feasible? Can you actually build that? Um, uh, will people actually do that? Will game studios like
Want that?
like that, right? Will
Yeah.
gamers like that? A lot of these questions, right? And there's a lot of that's where our approach has been changing over the last few months. Essentially, is that we were thinking about this from a kind of where are we now, and where can we get conceivably within the next, let's say, 6 to 12 months from where we are now, right? But then we got some new people on board and some new advisors and partners and whatnot, and they have been asking, so where can this go, right? Like, what's the potential, and how do we get there, right? So that's a kind of a different approach to it because and this is not what we're generally used to do because we're viewing this from a, hey, we have this massive ecosystem, so that's cool, so how do we leap to the next kind of stage, right? But when outsiders look at that, they think about, okay, what's the biggest, like, how can we grasp as much of the potential that this has, right? And obviously there's some questions that have been coming up here that were in the discussions as well, right? So for instance, this doesn't sound patentable, like the like what defined a dollar wrote, right? um, we actually think it might be patentable, but this is not even the major concern here, because this is where our strength is essentially, is not in, hey, we have the like, we haven't done 20 years of research on what is the best um, kind of data standardization model with kind of university professors on these kinds of things, right? But for us, it's all about, hey, getting this out, commercialize this so that there's actual usage in the real world of this, and evolve it from there. This is what we've been doing for 6 years now in Web3, right? And This is what we're good at. This is what we're good at, like pushing out a product and try and find out kind of how that behaves in the real world and iterate over that in under real circumstances, right? And this is where we're going to have a massive advantage over everybody else doing this, because there's going to be actual games, actual users doing this right from the first day, without kind of the concern that, oh yeah, how will you get people excited about this, and who's going to use that, and how will people know, and yada yada yada, right? So I think this is where we might actually consider making, let's say, the data standard open source at some point, so that there's more standardization in that. But the ones who will have the most data, or the network that will hold and have access to the most data, will be PlayMind, because we're going to have a first mover advantage, but also we already have this vast ecosystem of games, of partners, of data, of players, and whatnot, right? So I think that's what's particularly interesting here.
I like why to find the dollar set. I was hoping someone will bring back Clippy. Actually, that will be an insane idea for an AI companion. I see it simply going to 1 million market cap, like just for the name.
Okay, but that's gonna be, I mean, that you can do on virtuals, right? You can literally do that on virtuals.
I mean, if you create a token about that, send me the contract. I will definitely buy some just for the name.
All right. I'm so doing this tonight. So, and what's also, I think, before we get into more questions, I'm trying to start them, but I talk so much that it's hard. And I think that because the quality of the agents will be mostly determined by the quality of the data, right? So we will want to collect as much data as possible. And that's, again, what's cool about having a token and having an incentive system in there, is that the players will be able to will be able to incentivize players with a token, even if that's not directly tied to their earnings, right? Even if the agents are not, if there's no agents yet, right? But we're in the data collection phase initially for the first few days or weeks or months or whatever, however time it takes. But there will be already we'll have the possibility to incentivize the collection of the data. And what's really cool for game creators is, and that's what, well, we don't talk about on a kind of consumer level, right? We don't talk about that typically on the community level, but it's really hard to make money in the gaming space, right? As a game studio, as a game publisher, it's not easy.
As a esports organization, everyone is having problem with monetization right now.
Not only right now, that's always been a problem, right? Because obviously,
I mean, sure, yes.
The industry is massive, right? 200 billion plus 220 billion, whatever number you want to take, is a massive industry. But everyone's struggling with monetization because, specifically in free to play, free to play is a really bad business model, right? And it's because only about, like, if you're good, 3% of your install, like of the users who install your game, will ever spend money in your game, right? If you're not as good, it's maybe 1.5 or 2% of the people. So everybody else, you need to subsidize with the people who actually spend money. So you need incredibly high lifetime values of the people who actually do spend money. And then in order to improve your situation with the people who don't spend money, you show them ads, right? Because there's no other way of monetizing them. So you show them ads. And ads are really bad because obviously they move attention away from your game to another game. Most of the ads that are being run inside of games are ads for games, right? So you're essentially telling people, hey, don't actually play my game, play this other game, right? Because then I can make a little bit of money with you, right? Because they don't care about the user if they know about the player, if they know they can't monetize them anyway, right? So they'd rather show them a lot of ads because at least it gives them cents on the dollar in terms of lifetime value, right? But because you don't know upfront who's who, it's going to be really difficult for for you to basically figure them out. Okay, so with PlayMind, we'll see how that works, right? But if we want to target actual players, actual people who like playing games, right? And these people are typically not play to earners. They're not people who go
That's very true.
after making a lot of money. They're spenders inherently, right? They're people like going to the movies. You also spend money. You don't expect to go out to come out richer than you than you basically were before, right? So people who buy entertainment, they literally buy entertainment, right? They pay money in order to be entertained. So now if they get a little bit of additional disposable income, which is through playing the game and offering their data to others to play the game, you will actually end up with people who will spend that money on game purchases, on in-game purchases, on assets, right? So they will be able to flip some of their play tokens that they've earned into items or into in-game currency in these games, rather than cashing this out. Because for some people, getting $3 worth or $5 worth of play for just providing a little bit of data, it's not going to move the needle all too much, right? So you may not bother swapping that and cashing this out and whatnot. But what you might bother about is, hey, I can buy this. I wouldn't have bought it otherwise, but now I actually have a little bit of extra disposable income, so I might actually pull the trigger and buy it, right? So that's another possibility to actually monetize users who would not be monetizable otherwise, or who would have to be monetized through ads. And so for us, that's kind of bringing together the best worlds of AI and Web3, because Web3 already had this kind of promise. Hey, let's change let's change some paradigms in gaming, right? In the gaming industry. Uh, let's make the players also investors in the game, so that they have longer term interest in collaborating with the game and playing the game and interacting with it, right? And they become more diehard fans, and their lifetime values are much bigger, yada yada yada, right? And this, to a certain extent, has come true, except that play to earn has altered the way people play games, right? So the
Yep.
people who want to play games, they basically just look after, okay, how do I maximize the reward, right? With PlayMind, that's good. It's good that it's not the typical play to earn scheme, because it won't matter what you do in the game. You will get paid for generating or for supplying your data anyway, right? There might obviously be certain data sets that will be more sought after, right? So that might actually end up segueing into your behavior eventually, but not for most people. And most people won't have to change their behavior in order to get a few rewards by playing through PlayMind or with PlayMind.
I particularly love that you are using the blockchain and all this DeFi as it is intended to be, which is a tool. This is a tool to immediate and massive amounts of liquidity, but still the product is very oriented and focused into gaming and using AI to leverage all this and take into account all the features that you want to use. But you also get this access to massive attention and monetization through the blockchain and and the tokenization that you can achieve through it. That's very cool, and that's what I love particularly about it. And also something that can be done and that you know how to achieve it, and you know that you can. This is also valuable for users and for businesses, for game owners to be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have a couple questions regarding: do you think KYC will be needed for users to be able to access to this protocol?
That's a really difficult question, because in practice, this would, but it's kind of similar to what we already do with payouts and cash outs in Dungeon Master and Wombat, right? There is no inherent. Oh, maybe there is an inherent difference actually, which might be really really interesting. And we're talking to our lawyers about that, kind of what that means, because it was funny when we first came up with, hey, we need a legal opinion on the token, and then our lawyer our lawyers, they don't ask, tell me about the token, but tell me about the business, tell me about what you do, right, and whether that needs to be
Definitely.
licensed or not. And because the token then is only the representation of it, which is like a really always a different way of thinking about it than like coming from the token. And one of the key prepositions here, especially in Europe, because there's MiCA, right? There is this standardized regulation across all EU countries. That's the Markets and Crypto Act, whatever. I don't know. And crypto assets. That basically says, okay, if it's decentralized, you have different requirements than if it's not decentralized, right? And because the protocol will be decentralized, at least from a kind of MiCA point of view, there might be an avenue where you say, hey, we don't have control over the money flow, right? We as a company, we don't control the money flow, so it's fully decentralized. It's like Uniswap. You don't have to KYC on Uniswap, right? And
Yes.
because you get paid by a decentralized decentralized protocol, you wouldn't have to KYC, right? Whereas if you issue a token, at least for instance, in the US, if you airdrop tokens to US citizens, you would have to KYC them. So how do you know whether they're from the US or not, right? And so that, or there's avenues where you could say that, right? So it's really difficult, right? But we're trying to figure it out with our lawyers, whether we have kind of a decentralization argument, that we're not actually touching the cash flow there, so we can't know who people are, and they're responsible themselves to KYC themselves if they have income, or they have to basically dox their wallets to regulators, or they have to kind of do their tax stuff or whatever.
Very cool. So now that we know what PlayMine is, why we're excited about it, and why we want to build it, I think there's a very important question that people have been asking for over 8 months. Do we have a date? Do we have any schedule, timetable on when we are planning to release the token?
So yes, we do. And there's been the date that we communicated, that was preliminary to the VIPs, right, which was the 8th of January, which has been floated last week, and this week again it's been mentioned today. It's been mentioned. It's not the 8th of January, right? Because we also said that we'll tell you at least everyone, the
Exactly.
public, at least 2 weeks up front before we do the snapshot. And that's obviously that hasn't happened. So no, it's not the 8th. It is going to be within the next 2 months. Let's put it that way,
Okay, good time
right?
frame.
So we have a date that we're working towards now, a new date, which we won't communicate it until we are really certain that it's it,
Okay.
right? We won't push it
So
back
as a
too
question,
much.
I am asking as a user and not as the product manager right now. Is there any reason why there was certain date selected and then we're changing it? What's the advantage of doing so?
Opportunity cost, right? That's what I
Opportunity.
essentially said earlier on. So we have a certain internal goal. We had a certain internal goal in terms of what kind of valuation we want, what kind of token price we want, where we want to launch, and which partners, and so on, right? But that has changed over time, and we are getting more ambitious with this. The longer it goes, right? So for us, it's not even the small kind of swings that are happening now in the market, right? Obviously now. Today, Bitcoin is taking another dip, right? So there might be. I was on a call earlier today where we were kind of discussing why the market's going down, and there might be kind of a year-end. Hey, we don't want unrealized gains tax to be so high, so we actually push down the price of Bitcoin and the market overall, so that the people who are taxed on unrealized gains, like in the US, wouldn't have to pay as much tax, right? So this might be a good thing, and there might be a rally starting literally on the 1st of January. That's a
Okay.
theory. I don't know, right? But we're not that much influenced by these kind of smaller swings in the market, because now we have something that has potential of being, and I'm always I always shiver myself when when I say things like that. But from the discussions that we've been having, from the names that are being mentioned, from the access that we're getting now, with these partners who we've been talking to over the last 2-3 months, it seems like we are able to unlock a much bigger a much bigger dimension, of order of magnitude bigger, of what we were working towards 2 months back, right? And now we think that it's actually worth, not all of the journey where we want to go with this is going to happen prior to the launch, right? But a good portion of that will happen prior to the launch. So now we think it's worth actually like carving things in stone with some of these partners, so that we know we will be able to announce that, let's say in March, right? And but we already have the agreement now prior to the launch, right?
Exactly.
So just as an example, right? And one, or I don't want to actually go into too much detail about this, because there's a lot of ongoing discussions there, right? But you can imagine that, okay, which network is PlayMind, not just the Play token, right? On which network is the PlayMind protocol going to run, right? Are we building our own blockchain eventually, or which technology are we using, or running that on another L1 or L2 or L3 or whatever,
Exactly.
right? So discussions like that, and we had a hypothesis, and we're still working with that hypothesis, but now there is a new opportunity there, right? Because of unlocked network. That's just one of the many examples where we've gotten a lot of additional input more recently. People have been waking up to this. We've been introduced to more networks, right? And we're having extremely good discussions with these people, with industry veterans, traditional gaming, right? So we're not just talking pipe dream in kind of within Web3. We're talking extremely large, and I'm talking real AAA, not just like what everyone in Web3 calls AAA, right? So I'm talking hundreds of millions of revenue kind of games and so on. We're talking to these kinds of people. We're talking to a lot of people within Web3, obviously.
I
We're
can
talking with a
confirm
lot of
that,
people in
guys.
the AI space, right? So there's been a lot of yeah, small, like small movements, and that but they result in a big movement overall.
So before we continue with play, I just want to make a little parenthesis on this. Guys, I know the pool is broken for the newbie pool of the rewards. We need to change it, and we're looking to change it. There are some changes we cannot perform on December due to all these stops that we have. We have Christmas, we have New Year's. It is not wise to do such big changes with the risk of breaking the game without having all the resources to be able to fix it. We are aware, I am aware that the pool is not at its best and that it needs some changes, and we already have drafts for it. So it will be changed, and just have patience about it. It's not that we are not hearing you or reading you. It was one of the first things that I actually realized when I came back, when I came to Wombat. So we will perform these changes, but we need some pieces, some stuff to settle first to be able to perform the changes the way we want them to perform. That's it. We can continue.
um, so exactly, Webby, talking with them and getting them on board is a big difference. And we don't, like, if you talk to large game publishers, obviously that's not like we're not delusional in thinking, hey, we're gonna have this big massive AAA game production or publisher company signed before, or let's say in the first half of January or whatever, right? That's not what we're thinking. But the people who can unlock that, right? This is what's really interesting right now, and I think this is why it's worth, yeah, pushing the date a little bit, um, as opposed to what we had in mind a few weeks back, because it some people, or like let's say the brand, right, the whole PlayMind brand, we had this ready, we had all of this ready, and then
Yes.
we got some people in who said, okay, this is good for what you had in mind before, but now we have this possibility to work with this agency that has made this and this, right? And now, but they would need more time to actually make it happen, obviously, because we brought them in pretty late, right? And now we say, okay, we never had this possibility before to work with a company like this. Now we have the possibility,
XYZ.
so
Very
we're
big
like,
companies, I gotta say. Yes. So, um, this is very important. Yeah, I have seen a lot of growth, a lot of ideas, and it is very important to be flexible in this space, right? Maybe you can also tell us a little bit about the experience of onboarding people during Christmas and New Year's. How difficult is it to get meetings, to get people to talk to you whenever these time frames are so tight?
um, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, and it's like I said, the last week was Christmas week was a bit slow, just like uh, Thanksgiving week was with people in the US, right?
Yeah.
Um, but we still made a lot of progress, right? Even last week, I had numerous calls with various people who are like, "Holy shit, I want to be part of this," right? One way or another. So just the number of calls were were smaller, were lower because yeah, there were only like 2 days in last week, 2.5 days for most people, if anything at all.
By the way, we have a meeting after this stream that it cost me a lot to be able to achieve because otherwise it would have been by January 14th. But we only have had today to be able to set up this meeting that we have. So yeah, I mean it has been difficult.
Yeah.
And as your village says, can I use the play agent to win matches on eFootball so I can compete in tournaments and take home the prize money? I hope you can in the future. I mean, that's part of what I want or what I would love for play to be this AI companion to help you out to improve in any game that you have.
Well, I don't think that this is what your village people is talking about exactly. I think your village people is talking about let the AI play for you and win for you, which, well, I don't think that in eFootball, like, or any of the existing games, that's going to be a thing. And that's precisely why we're saying we want to make that sanctioned. So what might happen is that you don't have to play in PVE mode, right? In PVE mode, you might have the agent take over for you, but in PvP mode, that's not going to be possible because otherwise it's going to be unfair, right? Or this might be a thing in whatever PvP, maybe in some kind of MMO mode, uh, but you will clearly see that this is an AI, right? That this is not a human. Um, but what I can imagine, and I think it's worth talking about this at least for 1 minute, is kind of the paradigm shift of what AI is going to do to the gaming industry. We spoke a little bit about the paradigm shift that Web3 was and is supposed to bring to the gaming industry, right? But from an AI perspective, and I think that Playmind will be an accelerator of this. It's going to change the view of game creators onto what they want to achieve with their players, right? Because so far, especially in free to play, because in premium games they may not have cared as much because you already paid in the beginning, right? But in free to play specifically, it's all about engagement. It's all about how many hours does a player spend playing the game, right? Um, which, if you think about it, it's a little bit of a ridiculous metric because it basically just means that you make players busy. You make them do things that they may not want to do just because they want to achieve a certain thing, right? So I think that obviously, if you now are able to automate certain aspects of the game, then this will become, well, not the most relevant metric, right? The most relevant metric will become what do they do that actually contributes to the game, what contributes to the game economy, and eventually, obviously, what contributes to revenue for the game creator. But until now, it's always been okay. The more engagement you're able to produce, the more money you're able to generate, right? And that was typically typically a linear relationship between those two. And I think it's going to be really interesting because if you think about the what happened with X Infinity, right? There were like millions of people playing X Infinity for a living, so that they could produce. They were basically just putting in the labor, right? And it's kind of ridiculous that you make a game that's meant to produce, to artificially produce labor to people who can then make a living doing performing that labor, so that other people who want to, well, contribute to the game economy and who want to spend and make money don't have to put in the labor themselves. So they outsource that, right? And there were gazillions of, of human hours spent in Axie Infinity and other play to earn games by people who then were actually making a living, right? And that's not a new phenomenon. That's obviously, it's been like that forever. For 30 years, we've been seeing that pattern. That even in the 90s, during the first MMORPG games, I still remember my table tennis coach back in the 90s playing Ultima Online, one of the first MMORPGs, um, who was buying gold back then from kind of Chinese click farms, right? Online, because he didn't want to grind his way through yeah, basically farming money, farming gold, because also it was expensive, right?
Sure.
He had a dial-up connection, like everyone had a dial-up connection. There was no flat rates and stuff, right? So he would have to spend much less money on his on his internet connection if he could basically save some time grinding for gold. So there's always been a market for that. So you basically create a thing in the game. So a machine is programmed to create effort, to create labor for others to be performed, right? Just so that people would spend more time in the game. But now this is no fun for anyone playing this at some point, right? It's not the fun part. You only do that because you have to. You have to do, I don't know, fishing or whatever in whatever game, right? You have to do fishing, so you need 10 fish so you can whatever, make this jacket or made from fish leather. I don't know, right? I mean, you need that jacket to become whatever, right? And to solve this one mission. But how about you could actually outsource the fishing part, which takes 2 days, right? And you can go right away on the mission, right? So this is, I think, where eventually we'll see kind of a shift in how games are being created, so that there's more of the parts that you really enjoy and fewer of the parts that are actually laborious, because otherwise they're going to be automated anyway by AI agents, right? And this will happen with Playmind or without, but with Playmind it's going to be like within the games and sanctioned and a controlled environment for everyone.
Great. I love it. With RuneScape, it will be pretty fun, actually. So, a couple of questions that people have regarding Dungeon Master. Will online Jalsa, will there be one more use case for Christmas Red level 5 apart from the 1500 MP? Yes, there will be. You should check out the chat with the PM that we had last Friday. We had a lot of great ideas that we discussed, so it was pretty cool. We introduced a little concept. I don't know if the announcement will be done today, but we want to talk about petrification. So we want to introduce a new concept in which you're able to blend an NFT and petrify it, which means that you will convert this NFT into a non-tradable token. By doing so, you will be able to stake that NFT, get this mining power without having to occupy a slot of the stakeable NFTs that you can have. This is one advantage. Also, by petrifying it, you will have an extra mining boost on it. So, for example, you will be able to petrify your level 5 Christmas Red. Instead of 1,500 mining power, it will have 1,700. It will become a non-tradable token, so it won't occupy any space in your slot. And that's usually the benefit we're planning right now, and it will be available today. I don't know if the announcement will come by, but the plan is already there, so you guys can check it out.
Wow, you're on fire.
Else, I like the. Let me see if I have the NFT around so I can show it to you. It will be better to explain it that way. Okay, yes, I have it.
There's one big question surrounding this obviously is, will that be available for other NFTs as well then? So will you be
Yes,
able
I
to,
mean,
will you
not
be,
all
will you be
so
able
I
to
want
petrify a Grandmaster pack? Because this is where it's going to get massive.
so yeah, I mean that's the idea. Currently, this is like a proof of concept first, so you can see the petrified Christmas red is, for example, someone already blended. Okay, interesting. So this is the NFT you will get. It is a non-tradable token, and it will have 1,700 MP, and it won't occupy a slot within your stickable items, which is great. The blend receipt is pretty cheap, one time spiral and one combination, just to make sense with the concept of petrifying. So that's it. I mean, if it's popular, if people liked it, like they liked it a lot whenever we had the uh, chat with the product manager, then we will apply it for more NFTs and more NFTs that you suggest that should be applied. There are some legacy NFTs that people say, hey, they should be updated the mining power. Well, this is an interesting way to update the mining power, don't you think?
I think that's
So
interesting.
also,
I think it's interesting as a overall concept, right? Because like not right now, if you're just talking about the Christmas promo and the rest, so it's okay, right? That's like it's a thing. It's definitely a thing because that makes them inherently valuable. Because like a lot of players will not care about an NFT that has 1,500 mining power, right? Um, but like I said, where it's going to be really interesting is, hey, which other templates are going to be petrifiable? Is that will that apply to legacy items like
exactly.
packs? I mean, packs would be kind of crazy because that would remove the
The
possibility of
ability
ever
to open,
opening
yeah.
them,
Yeah.
right? Because
That's what I was
if they're petrified,
talking
they
with
should be
Ansi.
properly petrified.
Yeah. Last time I was talking, last Friday I was talking with that about with Ansi, which could be done for the Grandmaster packs, for example. It will be extremely OP, so we will have to think about it. Make all the old Christmas gear petrifiable. I mean, you mean from previous years?
That's what the average
I,
people are saying, I think.
I want that would be interesting. I
Like
gotta
the
check it
Christmas
out.
hats, like the maybe also the birthday cakes and the
I mean, for
um,
sure. That's part of why I wanted people first to try it out, and then like to give us feedback. For example, Nancy says it's cool, but be careful petrifying other MPs. This should be exclusive to Reds. I mean, the first idea is to use it for Reds. There are some NFTs that could use some love, and this could be the way that we can take advantage of this new mechanic to be able to use it. I don't really want to do it for all the NFTs, but really for some NFTs that truly deserve some love. And instead of saying, hey, we are just going to upgrade the MP, then we can just introduce petrifying there.
yeah, I think
Petrification will be the name.
the discussion in the chat I think is also directing into, hey, how about EOS, right? How about the EOS NFTs?
We can do
Could
it.
we introduce the concept of petrification to EOS as well?
Um, are there the tools? I'm not an expert on EOS, but if it can be done, then for sure
Nobody
we can.
is.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a joke. Um,
Oh my
no,
god.
we. I think with
What's
the
EOS? End of service.
broken.
EOS.
Uh, um,
Petrify the old one bishops. That's part of the idea. Actually, I was thinking of this concept first for the old one bishops, and then since we had all the holidays going on, I said, hey, we can try it out with the Reds. So actually, the idea
mm,
was initially for the old one bishops.
mm. Now the question is, what do you need in order to petrify something? Do you need like
So right now,
a Pedro Wombatium to do that?
we could. I was also thinking about that. Actually, I was thinking about a rock invasion or a erosion invasion, but that will have taken much more time to release it, and I wanted to show it to the guys as soon as possible. So at the moment, it is using a time spiral and an air invasion, which is pretty safe, pretty cheap, and you can do it pretty easily. If everything is available to be petrified one day, I might get excited and petrify all my MPs. Part of the idea is to be able to add some petrified NFTs per season. So you will be able to petrify these NFTs this season, and then it stops. And the next season, you will be able to petrify other NFTs. Do
Okay.
you like that idea, guys? Use MOF Wombations. I think MOF Wombations have received a lot of love lately.
um,
Maybe
well,
also start putting entity in the wall of wealth. Ah, that's interesting. As a badge, that would be cool. Like the final reward to be an entity.
um,
And as an
it's
answer to someone that was asking me about the season passes, we could also petrify the previous season passes for
yeah.
them to unlock mining power. And that's actually the more straightforward approach to giving MP to the season passes.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because they're right now they're staked, right? And we don't have an unstake function for them, so we would first have to add that, which might cause problems with old NFTs.
Yeah, will be interesting. We have to check it out. Pump the
Look,
month tokens.
Asa Su, hi. I always find it fascinating when people on X and Twitter. Sorry, I need to keep saying Twitter. Um, actually, chat here. I love that because we don't get that a lot. We have a bunch of people always watching and listening, but hardly ever get comments. So, bro or sir, I love that. We should teach people how to deploy agents and play to earn, then sell them the AI tools for these subscriptions. That's exactly what we're talking about, right? I mean, in play to earn, I don't know how far this is going to go, to be honest, right? Because it's basically going to be like anyone who wants to make any income will have to buy this, right? So we'll have to see how many of the play to earn games, like the pure play to earn games, will want to adopt that. But definitely, this is one of the lines of thinking where let's have this automated, right? Let's show people the tools, and this is part of the Playmate protocol as well. It's kind of the place where it can create an AI agent and make it available to others, right? And train it. We won't, like I said, it's very unlikely that we will come up with our own AI models, right? With our own kind of AI technology there. We will be making the infrastructure to do all that. Um,
I would love an AI agent to play Sunflower Land for me.
yeah,
Is Civ
exactly.
still producing? I mean, the first, I gotta be honest, the first time I met Polygon, if that is any way to say it, I interacted with the Polygon blockchain. It was through Sunflower Land. And I remember the game at the moment broke Polygon. And I was
I
like,
wasn't
holy
there.
shit,
Yeah.
this game is terrible. This blockchain is terrible. It is never going to be something I use. And 2 or 3 years later, Polygon is one of my favorite blockchains. So,
Should we do we need to talk about why? Because it's not the most. It doesn't have the most traction more recently, right? There's other
yeah,
blockchains that seem to have overtaken Polygon left and right. So just talking Arbitrum, Base, Solana, obviously more
Avalanche.
lately. Maybe I don't know. I don't know about Avalanche, to be honest. But more recently, maybe like stuff like Sui and Atmos and so on. Like from a token performance perspective, but also that directly feeds into kind of how people get excited about it. And obviously, Polygon, Paul, or Matic before hasn't had the best performance. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's diverting, but
I
um,
mean, I love
what you make of
Polygon.
this?
The aggregated layer concept sounds great. The way they are looking to get a lot of layer twos together in order to tackle what seems a very big problem in this industry, which is liquidity um, segregation. Can you call it like that? It's it's good. I mean, right now how the layer two works is that you bridge the funds over to their layer two, and you're basically kidnapping or bootstrapping these funds. They leave Ethereum, and now they are separate the funds within one layer two, And it is not only one layer 2. It happens with Base, then it goes with Polygon, then it goes with any other layer 2 that you have around Ethereum. And what happens is that you're segregating this liquidity. At the end, you don't have a unified pool that can help you to move large amounts of money. What the aggregated layer is doing is they are trying to use this unique layer in which all the layer 2s that connect to it, even wax could apply to get into the aggregated layer. They will get instant access to a huge amount of liquidity. In that way, you don't have the issue of, hey, this project cannot release on this chain because this other chain has more liquidity than theirs. And they can actually focus, and that's one of the big issues of Web3, they can actually focus on their product and not really focusing on which chain they should deploy. They should develop the tools because this chain doesn't have the tools to be able to do what they want. But actually, they can come and say, hey, I want to use Wax because Wax is the best blockchain. I am putting an example, but I am using Wax because Wax is the best blockchain for NFTs. The pack openings are great. The RNG is pretty good, so I want to use it. And I don't have to worry that Wax doesn't have liquidity. That's what I
Yeah, it
love
is.
about the aggregated layer on Polygon and everything they have done. They also upgraded the token recently. The token hasn't been performing great. It has been performing decently this run, which is good.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's been underperforming when it comes to other coins compared to
I
other coins?
usually think right now the market, well, people say it is not mature enough to actually care about the products. It is a matter of marketing. So, for example, Solana, Avalanche, and all these blockchains, they have amazing marketing, not only by the blockchain teams by themselves, but because the community backs them a lot. So, I would say it is up to that. It is attention economy all in all. For example, in the elections, polling market, it got a lot of traction. But if you actually take a look into how many fees it generated for the blockchain, it wasn't higher than $20,000 per month. So you know that the liquidity isn't coming by more people using the protocols, because right now using the blockchain on Polygon, on Wax, it doesn't generate a lot of revenue. But you do it for people buying the token. And for example, with Polymarket, people don't really have to buy Polygon to interact with it. They can buy USDC and then Wallet Connect, and the platform does the rest.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that's a bit of a kind of more kind of strategic issue, right? Because a lot of people have been wondering why there is no base token for the base network, right? And the reason is that it's not needed, it's not necessary, right? It's good enough to use ETH as for gas on the base network, and so because typically the token is a form of funding, right? So
Yep.
you would create a token so you can basically fund the creation of the network and the operations of the network, and going forward, also a lot of the kind of ongoing expenses. But if you don't need that because you have the funding, right, or you can get the funding through revenue, and Base is making a lot of revenue, then you don't need the token, right? And so this
Yes.
is a much healthier approach, obviously, because nobody cares about the Base token, right? Everyone just cares about, oh, I'm bridging ETH, so I'm using ETH. So that's
Exactly.
maybe a little bit of a problem, because if the demand for the token because of gas is not enough, then you'll end up in that situation. But anyway, I think that's a bit of a large diversion here. So let's swing back, and just a little shout out to Avalon. Hi here. Thanks for your wishes. We've been through the whole Telegram thing already, so we should probably have a chat about that if you're interested. But also, I think that Telegram games specifically are going to be really interesting for Playmind. So I think that's so we are definitely worth having a chat again with Avalon. Big shout out here. But coming back to petrification, because and Swim Dodge Vince is saying that here. So, do you think that there's really a large number of assets that we will make petrifiable, And because there is a little bit of a caveat there, if so, will there ever be some kind of a limit to the number of entities that you use, right? Because right now the advantage is it doesn't clog up your staked NFTs, but at some point this might get out of hand, right? If we like with the petrification, because
Yes.
they're perennial, right? They're persistent. They're there forever. Um, what's your thoughts on this? Because it's like
Definitely, I thought about
people
it.
will have an advantage of petrifying stuff forever, right?
Exactly. So that's why I wanted to do it like seasonal, first of all, that each season unlocks certain NFTs to be able to be petrified. And also, we should add a limit for it. Since this is not a problem at the moment, I don't really like the idea of analyzing player behavior before taking decisions. For example, with the stamina, we did the changes. Not a lot of people have complained. We actually took over 5 snapshots after the stamina changes, and we saw a big difference in how people behave previously to the changes and how they behave now. For example, with the stamina, we had people with minus 300,000 stamina. That's something you don't want for the game. And right now, whenever we perform the snapshot 5 times, the highest amount of players with negative stamina we had was close to 5 or 6 players, which did made a difference in how players behave. And now with this, I want to check how users behave. Of course, if we have someone that has a stake 500 level 5 reds, we will need to make some changes. But these changes have to be done accordingly and after analyzing the behavior of the players, because we can predict up to a certain point how they will behave, but we cannot really have any certainty on how they will do it. If we will need to add a limit to the entities that you can hold, certainly I am sure we will have to do it in the future. But right now, it isn't something that we're too concerned because this is the first NFT that we're releasing.
Can already have a massive impact down the line, right? If people missed out on this, but anyway, it's okay. We're here to
I mean,
figure
yeah,
that
I
stuff
was
out,
thinking
right?
because what if we release it and then someone stakes 100 NFTs level 5 right now? They will have 100K extra contribution at the moment. So we should also limit on the amount of templates that they could be able of the same template that they can be able to achieve.
That's just not what it is, right? That's just not what it is right now. And
Yeah.
people right now will make decisions based off of the rules that we have right now, right?
Yes.
So because we had the wombat miners with the woofy, with the woofy wombatium a few months ago, right? So that were and these were entities. The first entities that we had were the ones the invite, the friendship seedlings, right? Which there's still kind of there was the idea that they're seedlings because you might be able to grow them at some point, right? There is the wombat miners in the for VIPs 6 and 7, right? So those keep stacking up. If you now put a limit to those, that's going to be difficult because some people are probably like beyond the 100 or 200 or 400. I don't know the numbers, but we definitely will have to have a good look into
We will
this.
definitely have to do it. And yeah, right now that's why I like the Christmas Reds to be the first proof of concept, because there are only 500 of these NFTs and they are pretty spread across users, so we can actually use them to check out how they do that.
um, I find that interesting, but I take off my pants and jacket. um, since you said you can't KYC and know if someone is sanctioned unless they volunteer info, what's being done about Wombat team number 28, Iran Wombat or Iran Wombat? I don't know. It clearly makes a representation that someone or all of the team are from or in Iran, and regardless of the chain or not, isn't Spielworks Wombat sending payments to members of the team a legal issue? Um, that's an interesting one, because like there is a kind of philosophical discussion there, right? Is that um, is that um, something bad? All right, are people from Iran bad? Obviously not, right? So from a philosophical point of view, we don't want to exclude anyone so long as this doesn't get us into legal trouble, right? So that's for us. It's a priority to yeah to try and treat everyone the same way. So far, we haven't had any legal, or we haven't been told by our legal advisors that this would be a problem, right? That we would have to KYC people before making payments to them. It might change over time, right? So there might be reasons that come up over time that would require us to do that, but we're like not aware. So that's why don't we're not aware of any legal issues with, even if they are from Iran, right? Where we would have to assume that they are from Iran. Um, that being said, uh, Wing Arctic Wolf was making a good point. Maybe it's not Iran, but it's Iran. So is that clearly kind of a representation of these people are from Iran? I don't know. It's a bit difficult to establish that. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Vince says, my understanding is the entity had a max limit of 100 NFTs. Actually, I just asked the devs about that so they can give some information about it. I suppose it is safe to assume maybe there's a limit of 100 NFTs. It would be safe to assume that, but I don't have the certain information about it.
I don't remember it at the very
You
least.
must know
Maybe there
better
was.
than me actually about that. Yeah.
I don't. I gotta say, I don't. I can't recall that. But maybe there was, because we first introduced, like when we first introduced them with the friendship seedlings. It's been a while. Let's put it that way. And maybe back then we thought, okay, we'll limit that to like 100. But I don't remember that. And maybe that was something that we wanted to do, um, and we never did it, because maybe I'm getting this wrong, but I kind of faintly remember a discussion that there is no, like, internal discussion that there is no limit with some of the deaths, but um,
By the way,
I don't
for the
know.
people that blend the petrified level 5 red, if you can confirm that it is working, it will mean a lot. Thank you.
Okay, is there? Um, Sadly, it's not. Okay. Um, no, okay. That was a reference to the flawless's question. Hi, flawless. Um, yeah. Okay. I don't know. We would have to have another look at that if that is a thing. So far, we're not aware that we're sending money to people from Iran violating against this. Um, all right. So I think we're done with most of the discussion regarding um, green screen mug. It's my favorite mug,
Guys,
actually.
before Adrian leaves, any other question about mine? Play mine. It's the first time we're talking very openly about this. You should have more questions about this.
No, it's fine. We're an hour and a half into the stream. I'm already running low on talking energy. Uh, um,
Let that man free.
let that
I
man.
mean, he has a
We'll do
meeting with
it.
me and some other people in 1 hour, so he has to remind that.
No, 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 no. It's okay. What I'm just thinking is, let's play some Twitchy tides. That's what I was
Jelsa,
thinking.
are you here? Let me know if it is working. I saw Jelsa made the plan, sorry. I missed the start of the stream, so I will need to watch it in both. Yeah, I think it was very interesting. And Adrian talked about a lot of stuff about Playmate.
All right. Um, Let's play some Twitchy Tides.
for sure.
You can type exclamation mark wombat if you want to join this. Yeah, I know I'm short of the prizes. From last week.
You didn't send them,
No, I forgot.
dude. I mean, boss.
It's not helping. Is that a thing that you have different profiles, or why are people typing something like Wombat 5, Wombat 3, Wombat 2?
Why did I set him up for a failure? What do you mean?
I don't know.
When did I set you up? I will never.
So, what do we want to use as prizes? We were handing out Christmas presents with the promo packs, the OG promo packs, right? Last week. So it's kind of year end now. So should we be using something special this time around again?
What do we have in mind? Maybe some gems. People love gems.
Do people love gems?
Do people love gems? I mean, if they don't love it, we won't give them away, right, guys? I think they don't like it. We should give away some pack fragments.
Yes, that's what I've been waiting for.
Gem me, baby.
I
Gold
think
packs.
pack fragments are among the most popular NFTs in Dungeon Master.
I like gold packs. I don't have any gold pack.
Do we have
Was
any
there
gold
any
packs?
ETA when we will see new things like beta or reveal or new details? Adrian said that play will be released within the first 2 months, right?
Play token, yeah. That's
Yeah, play token.
but now obviously getting the question, so is it confirmed that it's February?
Uh, I don't know why people will assume that.
Well, because you give them some piece of information and they deduct whatever. Anyway, it's okay. It's fine.
So the first 3 months of the year.
Look,
So,
Rising Dragon
by
is
the way, is the
suggesting
next year a
Grandmaster.
leap year, or isn't
Sorry?
it? Is the next year a leap year? Do we
No.
have a 29th of February? No.
No. This year was a leap year.
Thank you so much, Vince, for the information. That's great, actually.
Is Swim Dodge Vince actually the same person as
I think
Coins
it
for
should be
Vince?
coins for Vince. Is it right assuming that?
It's,
This year was. I didn't know it was this year. I didn't. It didn't felt like a leap year.
it was a short year for you. Look,
Oh yes.
Swim Dodge Win. It was easier to pronounce Coins for Vince than Swim Dodge Vince.
I mean, I like the new name. Leap year is always U.S. election year. That's a very nice way of phrasing it out. Thank you.
But you know that there's these weird rules that it's every 4 years, except if it's a century, a full century,
Oh
then
really?
it's not. Except if it's a full 400 years, then it is.
Okay, interesting.
Because it kind of aligns with how long the Earth actually takes to circle around the sun, right?
So in
And
theory, it
that's
takes 365 days and 6 hours. That's why it is every 4 years.
365 days and 6 hours. But it's not
65.
6 hours exactly. It's slightly more than 6 hours, whatever, right? Um, so
Swim Dutch Beans. Coins for Beans is dead, and Swim Dutch Beans has arrived.
so now
Hey,
we
Matt
still
is
have the
here.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt is here.
Matt just comes in to play Twitchy Tides. I mean, come on, just like Pedro. This is ridiculous. Just be silent all the time, and now just come in to
To
play
weird
Twitchy
prices.
Tides. It's like, oh ma, nah. Anyway,
We've been
what
here
else
since the
can?
start. Oh my god, he's here. As well, Pedro is here.
Yeah, I know. Well, I
I
know.
didn't know. But we're on a very important meeting.
So why you here then? You can always twist it so that um, you hurt them. Okay. So no wood medals.
We have to stop
No.
with the gold medals. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah. We're not doing wood medals. Let me see. Is there anything?
Just like one day is not actually 24 hours, but 23 hours and something. Oh my god. I didn't know about that. We could petrify metals. What do you think? That's great.
Which medals?
The diamond metals. We could petrify everything.
Like I told you, you just need to have the rules clear.
So Ansi can petrify all her NFTs. Now, if it works, we will definitely come up with a very well structured idea behind petrification. But if you don't like it, guys, then why doing so? I think you will like it.
Look, we have Arek, we have Swim Dodge Vince, we have Shinpaichi, and we have Shiba Seekar. We have 4 people swimming with really cool wombat skins here. I like that. We're running it back. So I've been thinking, because last week we've been handing out promo packs. How about we do promo packs season 3 promo packs?
Oh, that's nice. I want one of them.
Then you should play. I just need to make a note. I don't have a
The problem is I am not on
pen.
Twitch because my internet is good right now. So if I have the Twitch stream open, then it will lag everything.
Oh, too bad. Then you'll
Yeah.
have to buy one from the market from somebody
Oh my.
who got one and is willing to sell it to you.
Is there music? Can you hear the music outside?
I was hearing
Petrify the
some
Great
music.
Grandmaster packs. I will definitely petrify them.
The Great Grandmaster packs. Okay. So okay. So we'll do season 3 promo packs. And we'll do top 5 players will get one. And the person who ranks highest of the 4 wombats will get another one. Right? Okay.
I like it.
All right. Then let's go. We've got 50 players. This is a good number. Um, oh, now it changed. Now we're at 51. Still good. Let's go. You're typing very noisily again.
Again, sorry, I have my AirPods, so I cannot really hear me typing.
It's so amazing how many different skins there are. I'm just seeing, like, some of them I'm seeing for the first time. Uh, Webby has the sheep that I've seen. Um, Anzi has this shark, which is cool. And obviously, Swim Dodge Vince is the wombat. It's the last wombat standing, I believe. No, no, Shiba Seeker and Shinpaichi are in as well. Oh, JR Since or Junior since
Nice.
82. Um, looks very cool. So there's really a lot of cool stuff. The team at Twitchy Tides has been coming up. It's crazy. Oh, that was unlucky. So now we're down to 6. Who it's gonna be? We got our winners. Definitely Chur and, well, Flentality. I believe Flentality might be a first-time winner. So GG's here. Flentality, Chur, Ivanov, Fawn YT, and Anzi. And then we've got. Come on, you gotta be kidding me. Pedro, you're a top player with a wombat skin. Nobody should want that. Well, anyway, GG's. So you'll be able to do whatever you had in mind in terms of the season 3. Oh, Anzi, I don't have a wallet from you, but I can look at it. It's okay. I have it somewhere. Cool. GG's here. Oh, what happened? I can't see any comments anymore. Oh, there we are. And Santiago's gone. This thing called breeding. Yeah, I think that's cool. I haven't done it yet, but I think it's a cool concept. It was weird because when Santiago left us, it's all right. It's the first time, right, Anzi? You last week I think you wrote that you've never won anything. And then the chat disappeared. So I was like, hey, something's entirely broken.
Did
Hey,
something
welcome back.
happen?
Something weird happened because I was looking at the Twitchy Tide screen, obviously, and then when I came back, the chat was gone and you were gone. So I thought it's like something totally bad happened.
That's weird. Yeah, I lost my internet. I thought it was because of that.
I don't know.
No.
I kicked you out of your internet.
Okay, I'm from the phone actually. I thought it was my internet. That's weird. We are going to delete the new people. Well, we're not going to delete it, but we're going to rework it, or maybe delete it. It has not been decided yet, but we're going to change it.
Death dungeons would be cool where I can actually die and
kill your wombat. I mean, if we introduce breeding, we should introduce a life cycle in which the wombat eventually.
Well, that was the idea.
Petrifies.
So because we don't have a lot of questions pending, and it's anyway, yeah, I'll be sending out those packs together with the other packs. So I'll do that soon. Promise, it will happen this year. I promise. It will happen 2024. But because we're kind of ending, yeah. So Anzi actually won for the first time. Yeah.
You won.
Awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah, placed NZ placed fifth. Um, so I have a last question. How do you celebrate New Year's? Because that's what's
We
upcoming.
do you have the grapes celebration? Do you know about it? See you next year.
Grapes.
So we usually, maybe Pedro that is around, do you do it in Spain, in which you start the year with 12 grapes and you have to eat one grape along with a wish. So you get to make 12 wishes for every grape that you eat on New Year's. Yeah.
12 wishes. That's quite a lot.
12 grapes are a lot. Imagine eating 12 grapes within 1 minute. Yeah, it's difficult, but you do it for the wishes.
You should try and eat 12 salt sticks in a minute. That's even more difficult.
12 what?
Salt, like salty sticks, like these little
Oh,
snack sticks.
we don't need them that much here.
Um, it's there's this
We
famous.
sacrifice a chicken here. Well, there's traditions and traditions.
So you do that on Christmas and on New Year's. Um, but our New Year's
Prince
was really
Paradox
good.
is always sacrificing chickens.
Yeah, throw knockouts and fireworks at 12 midnight till the next morning. Yeah.
Oh, we also have the fireworks. A lot of fireworks. We love fire. We also have a tradition. I almost forgot. This is proper. This is proper from here in my country and some other Latin American countries. We build like a doll, you can call it, of any famous character, any famous politic, any famous anything in our country, and then we burn it when New Year's start. Yeah, we
Why do
burn
you
it.
burn that?
It because it's our tradition. It supposedly it is good luck. We burn a lot
Okay.
of stuff. So actually, let me bring to you the one we're going to burn this year. Give me a second.
This is really funny, you village people. I always put my phone on airplane mode to avoid strangers telling me Happy New Year. Strangers? Why would strangers do that? Just people you know, you right? My WhatsApp would be filled with broadcast messages. I don't. I've never had that. Who does that? Who broadcasts messages? Mm. Santiago is a pyro. Yeah, I guess. But why? I'm wondering about why would you create a figure, a doll of somebody famous, and who the heck is this?
Have you seen
Santiago,
Inside Out?
no.
It's anxiety from Inside Out. It's
Ah,
of
okay.
course it's the Temu version, the China version of anxiety from Inside Out. It's extremely ugly, but yeah. So we usually have to burn this.
Okay.
That's right.
That probably causes a lot of air pollution, I would guess. But okay, if you have to do that, I
Yeah,
mean,
it does. Actually, it does. There has been a lot of people, a lot of movements that have tried to not do this tradition, but at the end, they are traditions, so it is very difficult to take them away from
yeah,
people.
totally. It's like with the fireworks and all the explosives in Germany, right? This is a huge thing, like a huge, huge thing. And some people spend hundreds of dollars or thousands even to just buy explosives for New Year's Eve. And during COVID, because there were obviously meeting restrictions, um, there were limitations, or it was even forbidden to throw fireworks and explosives in at New Year's Eve, and it changed um, the pollution levels entirely, right? Because
Yeah,
there's like always the most polluted, like air pollution, the highest air pollution throughout the year is always during New Year's Eve. Um,
Hitler being typical German concern about the environment.
uh, No, actually, I'm more concerned about the noise. It's good now. Now I live in Portugal. It's the first time that we're celebrating New Year's in Portugal on the countryside. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea whether anyone's going to be up or people are just going to go to bed and it's going to be dead quiet here, or whether there's going to be any fireworks or anything going on at all. It's going to be really interesting.
We have a lot of fireworks here as well. Don't buy fireworks. Your neighbor will do it for you. Actually, I have a cousin that lost his hand because of fireworks. So don't do it without supervision.
it's it's really hard to get it wrong, I would say, right? Just don't
I
hold it in
mean,
your hand while
I
it's
guess
exploding.
my assumption is that the fireworks that we have here are not as good as the fireworks you should have them there because we have some artisanal, some handmade fireworks
Okay, well,
that
yeah.
often do not go so well.
Yeah, that, and obviously people get super drunk and then like, hey, let's do this super funny thing, right? And yeah, then stuff happens. That's also like in Germany, the hospitals are full with injured people from fireworks over Christmas Eve, right? So the paramedics and the doctors are really um, pissed off about this.
So this one is pretty small actually. We usually burn some that are 10 times, 20 times bigger. It's a very big tradition here.
So it's
And
like
there are
Burning
some that are,
Man.
yeah.
If it's like 20 times
Actually,
bigger, then it's really
we
massive.
usually, this happens a lot on the coast that we have some of them that are the sizes of buildings. And very well done, extremely detailed. We have
So like,
contests about doing the most detailed one. We burn Goku, we burn Vegeta, all these characters. We love to do it. We love to burn things.
so it's actually like Burning Man. It's just like happening 1,000 times at a time.
It could be. Just don't burn stuff at midnight. You won't notice it. Actually, we burn them at midnight. That's part of the tradition. Midnight, start burning. And then after they are a little bit settled in the fire, you have to jump over them.
That's
Very
cool.
cool. You should come one year
So you
here
you
to
basically
Latin America.
leap into the next year.
Yeah, you have to jump 3 times over the Burning Man
Okay, so it's
for
good
good
that you
luck.
have a small one.
Yeah, it is small
It's easier
because
to jump
we
over.
were traveling. Because usually we burn one of them that is bigger, but yeah, we had to travel, so this is what could fit in the car.
All right, cool. So on this note, I would say, oh no, one last thing that I wanted to ask is about New Year's resolutions. Do you do them? Anyone in the chat, do you do them?
Yes.
And do you have any resolutions for the upcoming year? Your village people can burn CR7 because
Dude, don't do
they're
that.
massive.
No. I mean, it is good luck. You can do it because CR7, of course, is better than Lionel Messi.
Ooh, train to run an Ironman for Prince Paradox.
That's great. I love
Ironman
it.
is
I wish you the best of luck.
that's crazy.
I
A
want
friend
to
of mine
climb
did
more
that.
mountains.
You want to climb more mountains?
Yes. I love climbing mountains. So I want to climb El Chimborazo, which is a volcano that is the highest point of the world. Of the world. Did you
Because
know
it's so
that
close
Mount
to,
Everest is not the highest point on Earth?
because it's
From
farther
the
away from the
center,
equator, right?
from the center to the top, the highest mountain and volcano in the world is El Chimborazo. I want to climb it.
Okay, Chimborazo. Yeah,
Chimborazo.
it's there's this one interview with um oh, what's his name? This famous physics guy, um, where he talks about kind of the deformation of the Earth as a sphere, right? And that Mount Everest, you could, if this was kind of a small sphere and you had it on scale, you could hardly feel it with your finger,
Yeah.
because it's like so little compared to kind of the size of the world. So
Tell me
yeah,
your
it is
private keys before you climb it.
interesting. Okay, I typically don't do New Year's resolutions because I tend to think that if you want to
That's
do
very German
something,
of you. That's very German of you.
maybe it's German, but there's a lot of Germans who do New Year's resolutions as well. But what I'm saying is always, so if there's something you want to change in your life, don't wait for New Year's to start changing it. Just do it now.
I mean that's true, but usually people rely on a stimulus to do some changes. So you just don't wake up and say, "Hey, I'm going to be the healthiest version of myself,"
But
unless you have a lot of self determination. But normal people need a stimulus, like for example, something impactful to happen in their life for them to make a change.
exactly. But New Year's is not impactful, so it typically doesn't last. You know how
Exactly, that's very
January
true. But they use it.
January is by far the month with the highest sign up rates for gyms,
Yes,
right? But by I think there's a kind of a statistic that by April or May, they're down to kind of the previous year's levels, right? So
it's a,
it always wears out.
yes.
So
It's
it's
because
like
it's not as impactful as someone. I mean, for example, someone die. Whenever someone dies, you start to eat more healthy or do some changes in your life. That usually
that
happens,
I
and
totally
that's
get,
very
and this is
impactful. Yeah.
because this is impactful, yes. But I mean, come on, New Year's. I've had New Year's 40 times in my life. It's not going to change anything, right?
But they
So
use it as an example. Like actually, I think it is a nice tradition at least to try it, because out of the 100 people that do it, one will stick to it. And if there wouldn't be this attempt or tradition to do it, then no one will have done the change.
this is a really good idea for a gym. If you go 15 times in a month, which is quite plenty, right? So that's every other day, then you don't have to pay. Rising Dragons, yes, many New Year's resolutions are abandoned shortly after they are set. On average, only 36%, that's a cool statistic, of resolutions last past the first month of January, and only 9% last throughout the year. It's crazy.
That's
Um,
Thank you for the odds. I don't know how people get it, but that's amazing.
maybe you can cut your beards for New Year's resolution. Maybe you can grow it longer.
I mean, we can do this. Whenever play launches, you shave your beard
Well,
just
then
for a
it won't
duality.
launch. That's not good for anyone.
Why? I have never seen you without a beard.
Nobody has ever seen me without a beard. Some people have been
That's
joking that I was born with a beard because they've never seen me without it. My
your
wife would
village people
kill
is so
me.
mean to me. Your village is right now so mean to me. Like maybe you can cut your beard for New Year's resolution. I'm not talking to Solar. Yeah, I know you're not talking to me. Thank you. Solar can shave on
This I
September.
like. This I like.
I mean, we can do it starting New Year's. I cannot shave, but it doesn't grow that much. It will just look ugly.
Doesn't matter. It always looks ugly when you first start.
Like I will have holes all over my face, but I can do it. I can make that promise. I like it.
That
What do
I
you think,
like as a
guys?
New Year's resolution. That I like.
So I
So
won't
that's
shave until play lunches.
so you know
My
I
girlfriend
just
will
had a
not
go.
like that, but yeah,
I had just a goatee before I went on my world trip 15 years ago, right? And then I said I won't shave for
your
3 months.
eyebrows.
Uh, God, shave your eyebrows. That is no, don't. And then I grew this full beard because I was traveling for 3 months. I had to shave a little because it gets super annoying on the neck and here, right? But ever since I've had it, and then once I shaved my mustache when I went on a little trip with my wife, and then she said on the pictures she doesn't recognize who she was with because she's never seen me without it.
Then
And
use eye
then use an
pencil.
eye pencil. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, now I think the bird is just a good idea.
You still got plenty of
Well,
time to grow one, but yeah. So okay,
I
I
think that
think
sums it up.
that was an amazing stream. So thanks everyone for tuning in for the last time in 2024. Go burn this tomorrow.
Me and Anxiety wish
Everyone,
you a very nice year.
exactly. Everyone, celebrate safely. Have your favorite food and drinks. Spend your time with great people. Have a great start into the new year. We'll definitely do some awesome stuff next year. And so there's just one question: who are you rating? Guten Rutsch, flawless.
Oof.
Guten Rutsch
Wait,
mentality.
HR is saying my New Year resolution will have been to restart doing running. I'm cycling again. Do it. Don't wait for New Year's. I mean, wait for New Year's because you need that dopamine hit, but do it. I also wish everyone the best of the years. If you believe in doing resolutions, do it. If you don't believe in doing so, then do it as well. Just make sure to enjoy with your family and close friends. Take these moments and treasure them. Have fun. Do not stress as much about crypto and everything just for that moment. Then you can stress again. It's fine, but enjoy and have a good moment because these are the moments you remember. I am telling you from the perspective of someone that last year couldn't spend Christmas or New Year's with your family. You miss them a lot, and you actually realize what you're missing out only when you don't have it. So this year I had the resolution, and that was one of my resolutions that this year I will spend all the time with my family if I could.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
And have fun. We're going to be rating Las Vegas Ape. I think last week we said we're going to rate Ape this week.
Send
So
me a
we'll do that.
Spielberg's merch. I
It's going to
mean,
be
you will
Sasha's
have to go
job.
in the you'll have to wait a little bit because I don't have a Spielberg's merch yet. I need something. Play
The
hit one
resolution
cent.
is a lot higher than 1 cent. So
Oh my god, Alpha.
let's go for this. That's my resolution. But that's just for me.
Yeah.
I'm not telling that to anyone.
Have a good one, guys. Who are we rating,
All
by the
right.
way?
We're rating Las Vegas Ape. So we're
Okay.
ready to rate. Have fun. Say hello. Have a great new year. And see
See you
you
guys.
next year. It sounds horrible. See you next year. But it's not so long. See you next week. Bye bye.
Okay.